Good morning all. I am Dr. Punita Pathak, Department of Political Science, Vasanta College for Women, Rajghat, BHU, Varanasi. Today I am going to discuss an important theory in international relations, that is regionalism. First of all, I would like to introduce the topic. The common assertion that world politics is being reconfigured on global lines has increasingly been challenged by the rival image of an emerging world of reasons. It means the world has been divided into different reasons. So in this way, regionalism is both the successor to the nation state and it is also an alternative to globalization. Since 1945, regional organizations have sprung up in all the regions of the world. We can see that especially after the end of Second World War, we can see the different regions of the world because of the Cold War. In the different regions of the world, regional organizations have sprung up. Earlier forms of regionalism had promoted regional cooperation and integration too, on several issues such as security, political, economic, and so on. The new regionalism has been reflected in the creation of regional trade blocs, either the establishment of new one or the empowering of the existing ones. Now quickly we will see the definitions of regionalism. In this regard, I have taken two definitions. One has been given by Palmer and Perkins, and second one has been given by Dr. E.N. van Cleffens. In the words of Palmer and Perkins, a region is invariably an area embracing the territories of three or more states, and these states are bound together by the ties of common interest and by geography. These are not necessarily contiguous or even in the same continent. Whereas E.N. van Cleffens stated that regional arrangement or pact is a voluntary association of sovereign states within a certain area or having common interest in that area for a joint purpose, which should not be of an offensive nature in relation to that area. If we will compare and explain both the definitions given by Palmer and Perkins and E.N. van Cleffens, then we can get some of the common keywords which is present in both the definitions, such as like first of all a reason. Second, this reason is of three or more states. Then why they are working together, why they will work together for the sake of common interest. Next, it will be a voluntary association of sovereign states and it is being tied up with a common purpose. So it can be said that regionalism is the theory or practice of coordinating social, economic or political activities within a region comprising a number of states. On an institutional level, regionalism involves the growth of norms, rules and formal structures through which coordination is brought about. Now we will see the nature of regionalism. Regionalism is broadly a process through which geographical regions become significant political and or economic units serving as the basis for cooperation and possibly identity too. Thus we will see that regionalism has two phases. First of all, it's a subnational phenomena. What is it? It's a process of decentralization that takes place within the countries, within the border of a country. For instance, this applies in those states which applies federalism. What is federalism? Federalism is a very popular form of government in which we can see the distribution of power between the center and the states. And we can see the practice of federalism in US, Brazil, Malaysia, etc. We can also found in that states which practice devolution, such as France, Spain, and the UK. What is devolution? Devolution is also a form of state in which the transfer of power will be from the central government to the subordinate regional organizations or institutions. But how it is different from federalism? Because it has no share in sovereignty, which we can see that it is present in federalism. Now we will see the second form of regionalism, second form of nature of regionalism, that is quite different from subnational, that is transnational. It refers to a process of cooperation or integration between countries in the same region of the world. Like in the first one, we have seen that we can get subnational phenomena within a state. Because those states, those practice devolution or federalism. But in the second phase of regionalism, we can get this process of integration or cooperation between countries which are present in the same region, between or among the countries. And it is with this form of regionalism in world politics. That is the regionalism which we have to see, which we have to study, which we have to discuss in international relations. What are the types of regionalism? There are mainly three types of regionalism. First of all, the economic regionalism, and it is the primary form of regional integration, and it refers to the creation of greater economic opportunities through cooperation among states in the same geographical region. It is primary form of regional integration, and it has become more significant after the advent of new regionalism, specifically in the early 1990s, manifested in the growth of different regional trade blocs. The second one is security regionalism. It refers to form of cooperation designed to protect states from their enemies, both neighboring and distant ones. Regional integration may thus give rise to community security, as this term has been coined by Karl Barth. This applies in two ways. First, peace theory cooperation, in which ever deeper level of interdependence and integration, mainly over economic issues, make war between member states unthinkable. In this regard, we can see the formation of European Coal and Steel Community in 1952 and European Economic Community in 1958. It was to prevent the future war between Germany and France, the conventional rivals, that was Germany and France. The second one is to gain protection against a common external enemy. Again, we can see that European integration was thus seen as the means of safeguarding Europe from the threat of Soviet communism and expansionism. The third one is the political regionalism. It refers to attempts by the states in the same areas to strengthen or protect shared values, thereby enhancing their image and reputation and gaining a more powerful diplomatic voice. This factor became important in the formation of several organizations such as the Council for Europe, which was established in 1949, and it aims to ensure respect for human rights, democracy, and the rule of law. Thus, it can be stated that the political value, which may be in form of human rights, protection of human rights, democracy, and the rule of law, will be the common political value at that particular region. Now we will see the main part of regionalism in international relations, which is called the theories of regionalism. And there are mainly three theories has been developed in this regard, in which the first one is the federalism. It is the earliest theory of regional or even global integration being, and it has been advocated by Hegel and Rousseau from the 18th century onwards, and it draws inspiration from its use in domestic politics as a device for reconciling tensions between the center and the periphery. For regional or international cooperation, federalism relies on a process of conscious decision making made by the political elites. If the war is caused by sovereign states pursuing self-interest in the context of anarchy, peace will only be achieved if states transfer at least a measure of their sovereignty to a higher federal body, which is often referred as pooled sovereignty. Fine. Then the question arose here that what do you mean by the pooled sovereignty? Pooled sovereignty, it is the sharing of decision-making authority by states within a system of international cooperation in which certain sovereign powers are transferred to central bodies. The federalist vision of unity through diversity is basically achieved by this kind of shared sovereignty. The second important theory of regionalism is functionalism. This key idea is basically expressed and has been developed by David Mitrani, and we can get the important part of it in his celebrated book named A Working Peace System, and formulation that was form follows function. The other important exponents of this theory are Leonard Wolff, Norman Angell, Robert Cecil, and J.D.H. Cole. In this view, cooperation only works when it is focused on specific activities. It means it is basically function-based theory that would be performed more effectively through collective action, not by the individual or the actions taken by the individual states. Then this creates pressure to construct such kind of necessity, such kind of requirement creates a pressure to construct institutional structures that would facilitate such cooperation in these areas. And in this regard, we can again take the example of European integration and how the process of European integration, which was started, it has been said that it was started after the formation of NATO, that was North Atlantic Treaty Organization in 1949, and it was being this process has been going on, and finally this process took an important shape finally after the formation of European Union. This theory of functionalism also seeks to build piece by pieces through international organization, and it emphasizes the sharing of sovereignty instead of the total surrender of sovereignty. It is also being called a bottom-up approach for building cooperative links among the states. This functionalist view also lay emphasis on the socio-economic and welfare needs rather than on the political need. It means this functionalist view basically focused and it emphasized on the uh, social, economic, and welfare needs. I mean, according to them, the primary motive of these regional organizations will be the fulfillment of social, economic, and welfare needs rather than the political interest or the needs. The third important theory of regionalism is neo-functionalism. What is it? Neo-functionalism basically recognizes the limitations of the traditional functionalist view. It is a kind of reaction. It is a kind of, because of some of the flaws were present there. That's why this new theory that has been termed as neo-functionalism came into existence. And this view basically stated that integration is largely determined by the recognition of growing interdependence in economic and other areas too. Instead, it places more emphasis on the interplay between the economies and the politics. Like in the previous one, that was functionalism, it was basically talks about the fulfillment of socio-economic and welfare needs. But why it is being different from neo-functionalism, and why neo-functionalism came into existence as a response to functionalism, because according to neo-functionalism, regionalism basically takes place and it emphasizes more and more on the interplay between economies and politics. And from this perspective, functional cooperation tends to produce transnational constituencies of advocates for still closer cooperation, creating a dynamic that leads to wide political integration, and this process is also known as spillover. Now we will see that what is a spillover. A spillover is a process through which the creation and deepening of integration in one economic area creates pressure for further economic integration and potentially for political integration. Now, I would like to mention that in this topic we have discussed all the important parts which are relevant to the theory of regionalism in international relations. If we will conclude regionalism in international relations, then it can be said that in the contemporary time, whether it was started in the post Great War era, Great War Second era, that is 1945, and the contemporary time which is going on, we can say that these regional organizations are very important. On the other hand, it has been said in the what is the relevance, or what is the importance of regionalism in the era of globalization. So it can be said that it is important in the era of globalization, and we have to study regionalism in this regard. Thank you.